A long time ago, NASCAR used to make the trip down to Wilkesboro. The drivers of the day would duke it out around this tiny little short track. Unfortunately, NASCAR doesn't visit here anymore, but in the sim, we're going to visit it right now. My name is Finity Kuna here with Connor Horner. And Connor, as always, glad to have you back with me for some nice short track action the first time this season.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I love North Wilkesboro. I think it's one of the best short tracks that iRacing has to offer, and it's a throwback, obviously, to this North Wilkesboro racetrack. With being added to the sim and all the speculation around it, it might be making a return with all the money getting put into it. It's a pretty exciting track, in my opinion. I'm excited to be here tonight.
Absolutely. Take a look at our weather quickly before we get down to the action. 79 in the air, 104 on the track. A little bit slick for these guys out there. I'm sure that'll be entertaining to see them sliding around.
Yeah, no doubt about it. I talked to some of the drivers, Jeremy Miller, Bailey Turner. I was talking to them. This car is pretty sideways, and that's really not what the Xfinity car is known for. Xfinity car is known for being a little bit of a brick, very tight, hard to turn center of the corner. But this thing, Bailey Turner said it's just loose entry, and it just stays loose. Not much you can do about it, but just manage that right rear best you can, and just hope you don't spin out, because if you spin out, it's in the front of the pack. You got nowhere else to go. You're going to get hit pretty hard.
Looking at Brian Chambliss out on making his last time. I remember winner from Atlanta, the last oval track we were at, as we were doing laps and rights at Watkins Glen just 1 week ago. Chambliss out here currently ninth, about to finish his second flying lap. Cross the line for him in the number 9 machine, and it looks like he will remain in P9 for now. Trying to look at anyone else. We were looking at Mitchell Walker. Mitch Walker earlier, he jumped to the top of the standings. Looking at Jeff Wright, actually just came flying across the line up into second place. And we'll see. I think he's out there for another lap. I'm not sure he's going to be able to best that, but solid effort for the 48.
Yeah, definitely a solid effort. He's led laps here in the past. I believe the first race, North Wilkesboro, that the Outsiders Series went to, he led 97 of the 170 laps in that race, but unfortunately I had to beat him in that race, so sorry, Jeff. But he's the only driver in this series who's finished top 5 in both North Wilkesboro races, excuse me. The last race, Zachary Carr won. He led all but 4 laps in the race a season or 2 ago, so we'll see if he can have some better luck and finish the job this time.
Jack Larry saw come across the line and also hit the wall after actually tying Andrew Shalganoff for 5th place at the exact same time. A 16, what is that? 18.993. Both of them exactly tied down to a thousandth of a second. So Shalganoff, I imagine, a hair quicker, barely a hair quicker than Klinger. It's kind of amazing to see times tie like that.
Yeah, I think I've heard in the past they go to the 100,000th, but I'm not fully sure.
And actually, if you look also, too, same thing happened with Zach Buchanan and Ryan Carwell tying for 7th place, both with a 19.020.
It's funny how that works. Sometimes it tells different times, because...
Yeah, I never understood why there's a discrepancy. At least I'm going off of my timing screen. I'm hoping that's at least showing that. Yeah, it is showing that on the left side. Sure. But I think I've noticed that iRacing's times are different.
Yeah, like Buchanan on my screen, because I have just iRacing's. Mm-hmm. It's a Buchanan with a 019 and Carwell with a 020, and I believe that's the way they are going to be lined up. So just barely a difference, but it's a difference nonetheless. Not much difference between the top 10 times. Are really not too separated by that much.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for, really looking to see if anyone else is going to get out there on the track. I don't think so. Small grid, only 16 cars, but, I mean, at a track as small as this, I don't think that's going to be too big of an issue. I think that'll be perfect amount of cars for some short track action here. Just looking through the field, David Mott, Keith Lacadas, Eddie Trejo, Ben Laughter electing not to qualify with the last 30 seconds of the lap. Zach Buchanan out on a lap just testing some stuff out. And got his livery on. Was it showing at Watkins Glen, the number 40 car, the Cadbury? Beautiful number 40 scheme. I'm trying to see if we can get a better eye on it. Did I not? Really? Did I not make a zoomed-in camera here? Huh. I don't know what I was smoking when I was making these cameras, but apparently I forgot. Forgot that. Oops.
I don't know. I suppose not, but... we'll see if there's anything to zoom in on, because those Fox cameramen just really love to zoom in on everything. They especially love to zoom in on children as well if you watch the Atlanta Xfinity race.
Oh, you know what? I really wish there was a way to do that. I don't think there is a way. I should just set up cameras in the grandstands and just pointing at fans so we can emulate that in iRacing.
I did make a joke about that earlier, not in a SimTV Discord specifically, but I went to another broadcasting Discord asking if they zoom in on children as much as these Fox crew members. I'm sure there's plenty of places you can zoom your cameras in. We'll have to wait and see for that, though.
We'll definitely have to see. But for now, let's go through let's start going through your starting lineup. Starting on pole, it's going to be Mitch Welker, the number 76. Oh boy, that is really loud. Hang on once. Dear God, okay. It gave me a heart attack. Sorry for anyone listening. I can't control the volume the sounds start at. But as I was saying, Mitch Welker is starting on pole. Jeff Wright next to him in second place.
And I believe Mitch Welker, quickly, I think he gets an EOL to start this race because of going through too many pit boxes at Watkins Glen. So Brian Chambliss gave him the EOL. I believe that's why he's gotten that. So Jeff Wright is going to be in second. Bailey Turner will move up to the pole. I don't believe he'll be the control car, but he'll be on pole. Bailey Turner third. Ray Massey's alongside him in fourth.
Thanks for that clarification, Connor. Moving on back to fifth place, going to be Andrew Telligan off with Chad Klinger rolling off in sixth.
Second Buchanan, that beautiful number 40 Supra. He starts seventh, right alongside the series champion, reigning series champion, Ryan Carwile.
We on back to ninth, going to be Jeremy Miller in the number 30 machine. Eric Hutton going to be rolling off in 10th in the 88 car.
Miller won the last short track at Bristol by 2 laps. I don't know if he's going to be able to do that this time, but we'll have to see. 11th and 12th place, Reggie Ortega and Brian Chambliss repping the VRL and ORL liveries.
Yeah, moving on back, Kurt Terry, starting with the non-qualifiers, it's going to be Casey Lacatus rolling off in 13th place. Next to him, Eddie Trejo in 21 in 14th.
Ben Lafter would be 15th. Dave Mott Jr. would have been 16th. He has not showed up to the on track. It'll be, I believe, Mitch Welker is in that position now.
Okay, and that will be rounding out your starting lineup here. Looking at Mitch Welker all the way in the back, he's got some work to do. As you mentioned, Jeff Wright will essentially take control of the field. Not exactly sure, as we were talking about before, who's going to be the control car. I guess we'll find out heading off into turn one. Again, quick look at your weather here before we roll off. Again, air temp 79, track 103. A little bit on the hot side. Is going to require some tire management for these drivers as we get ready to roll off. 16 drivers ready to take the green, start screaming around this short track. Will we see some bump and runs? I want to say we may, considering how hard it's going to be to pass, especially on that bottom lane. Everyone's going to be protecting it. The pace car, left turn on a pit road. Field and control of Jeff Wright, and he's off and away. We're green here at North Wilkesboro. Lap 1 of 180 complete. Jeff Wright, a very early lead, I should say, to Bailey Turner and Ray Massey in behind.
Gotta hope his internet holds up. He's had those issues for a while now. You were talking about bump and runs before the initial start. I think there's gonna be bumps. I'm not sure if you're gonna be able to run by him though, because there's really nowhere to hide at this short little, I guess almost 3/4 miles, just short of that though.
Looking at Ryan Carwile, talking about our points leader, still battling side by side. That's the 30 of Jeremy Miller in the yellow machine to his inside that he's trying to work on by, at least pinch down on the inside. Miller just trying to get past.
Carwile, the reigning series champion, not the points leader, however. That honor goes to Andrew Telganoff, who's in the 4th position, who's had a great start to this season. I believe he got 2nd place at Watkins Glen. Not a track you'd expect him to run up front. Gets a little loose out of turn 2, but he's had such a solid start to this season.
Yeah, done a fantastic job. Incredible to see Andy up near the top. We know he's been good, but there hasn't been too many times we've seen him run a full season. And I always felt that if he had done so, we would see him near the top, and definitely start to see that. Already a strong start to the day in 4th place, hunting down Ray Massey in that Ford up ahead.
Trying to see some racing. Pretty single file out. Ben left to Brian Chambliss for the 12th position. They go side by side, and right behind them is Mitch Welker. Has not made much progress as of yet.
No, it's going to be hard to do it. Again, we're talking the passing. It's not necessarily going to come at a premium, but you're going to have to work for it. As you see guys go side by side for laps on end. And for Welker, especially, there's nowhere for him to go. You're not going to make it 3 wide around here, so he's got to wait for this battle to settle out. Now can finally at least try to have a look to the inside of Ben Lafter.
Could also be saving a little bit of tire here. It's 180 laps, but we've seen the past 2 races that ORL has ran here. These races only really last an hour, if that. Last time's race didn't even last an hour, so you got to be careful with your tires. This race could go fully green. Only 1 yellow last time, so you have to keep the tires on it and just be careful, and you might be there by the end.
Bailey riding off the nose of Bailey Turner in the 24, trying to catch him down. We were talking about tire wear. We saw at Atlanta a lot of comers and a lot of goers with the tire wear. Bailey Turner, one of those drivers, just wasn't quite able to save enough. You pushed hard and was definitely quick, but when it came to saving, was not the best at it. Trying to hunt down Jeff Wright. He's just kind of going on all at pace. Already half a second ahead. There's Ray Massey, third place car.
Yeah, we don't really see a lot of saving happen at North Wilkesboro for the most part, because usually you're expecting a yellow every 30 laps on end, and maybe by the end you're expecting it every 5 laps at some point. But this might be a race with a small field and everyone kind of getting strung out with how hard it is to pass at a track like this. You might see drivers have to save and be focused on saving, because if you don't do that and it does go green, you're going to be dropping very far back, like we saw Turner do at Atlanta, like you said.
Yeah, and Welker just gotten past Ben Laughter in turn 3 and 4, so up into 12th place. Got, again, quite a bit of work to do. Keep an eye on the 76. Expect to be him near the top part of the day, but I think he's going to need at least a few cautions to try to help him out.
There's a big slide by Lacatus. We've been talking about that. Oh, Reggie Ortega spinning in 1 and 2. He's actually able to save it through the grass back on track. That was a dicey moment.
Yeah, try to see this entering off into turn number 1. There you see, quite surprised to see the back end get loose like that. I mean, I knew that it's a bit loose track temp wise. Also hearing the setup is a little bit loose, but quite surprised to just see him loop around like that.
That's another thing unique about this North Wilkesboro track. It's not really flat, and obviously there's banking, but it's not flat on entry either. You kind of go downhill once you go into turn number 1. The unique part about this track, it's sort of a downhill sort of decrease. I don't know, I forget the word for it, but you go downhill into turn number 1. It could really unsettle the back because of that. Other than turn 3, you're kind of going uphill into that corner, and you have a lot of stability. So 2 very different ends of a track as Bailey Turner sort of hops the curb.
Yeah, hops the curb as he's closing in on Jeff Wright, closing more and more. Again, I'm curious if this is all in Jeff Wright's plan, if he knows that he's just going to let Turner catch back up to him and just kind of hold him at bay, or if this is the 48 maybe slipping off, because we did see him get a pretty early lead. Did he already start burning off more tires than he needs to?
You know, one thing, he does have the air advantage. You might not be expecting it at a small track like North Wilkesboro, but clean air does matter at a track like this. We've seen it many times. It can be hard to pass because that car in front of you, you're running the same line as him. You just can't rotate in the center and on exit as well as you really need to. So the 48's got to use that to his advantage whenever he can.
Battle for third place brewing between Massey and Telgon. Telgon's effectively caught up to the rear bumper of that number 23, and there you see also Chad Klinger slowly getting close. So several cars battling it out for third place, essentially in behind.
And I don't know what happened. There's a big stack up, I think, last time by. Looked like Mitchell Welker got into Lacatus in turn 1 and almost spun him out. Welker's gotten by that battle now, but sort of a pack of 5 or 6 cars that have sort of lost the rest of the field because of that incident.
Yeah, there you see Lacatus on screen there.
Oh,
and
he's sideways.
Yeah, struggling loose in his Toyota Camry. Not Camry, Super, wrong series.
Not anymore.
It is Toyota Supra running off in 11th. There's Eddie Trejo there. You see him behind Brian Chambliss, Reggie Ortega. Ortega working his way back around Chambliss, who's dead last in 15th. The guys that roll off.
Yeah, he's not had a good start. He started 12th and he just dropped fully back to pretty much last month. Junior not starting or running in this one. Ortega the same way though. After a slide, he's dropped back 3 positions as well. Everyone else trying to move up a little bit.
You can see some different lanes, at least, or at the very least, guys taking different entries into the corners. Looks like Telgonov waiting a little bit higher. Chad Klinger diving in a little bit lower. Connor, you know, looking at the way these guys attack these corners, what do you think is better, especially with these Xfinity cars?
I just love attacking the very bottom through 3 and 4. I want my left sides right close to that curb. It's risky, no doubt about it, because you can hop that curb, but you have to be confident down there to make it work. It kind of gets a little bit more flat down there when you're right next to the curb, but just rotates so much better. And obviously, the lower you go, the more tire you're going to save. That's where I want to be in 3 and 4. 1 and 2, I like to enter high, sort of where Telgonov does, but you kind of want to exit a little lower than that. I want my left sides almost in the grass. I'm exiting so low. You kind of need that to get the run off of 2 into 3. So those are my lines I want to run here.
Yeah, Telgon's going to be careful. He keeps opening. He keeps turning in late, and it's leaving the door open for Klinger to just throw it, dive, especially because Chad is diving in a lot lower into the corner than the 3. One of those times may just be enticing enough for the 09 to stick his nose to the inside and try to get that 4th place spot. But so far, fairly quiet through the order. Everyone just kind of settling into a rhythm. We still got a long ways to go, only just 20 laps in.
And that is the risk of running that higher line in a turn 1. I believe it's faster, but you do leave 2 or 3 lanes for the driver in question, Chad Klinger, for example, to make that move to the inside, not thinking you're going to turn down, and you might turn yourself. I have had that happen in other leagues at North Wilkesboro. It is a risky line, no doubt, but if you really want to, be fast and also save tire while doing it, that's the line you kind of need to run. I like what Telganov's doing right now.
Taking a look at Bailey Turner, he seems like he's kind of falling off the pace. One lap, he was, at one point, he was 3/10 behind the leaders, and now he is fallen back 1.3 seconds. I think I also just saw Eddie Trejo, I think, go for a little bit of a ride. Saw him lose quite a bit of time.
Has some right front damage now as well.
Can't quite get to it. My computer seems to be lagging a little bit for some reason. I'm not exactly sure why, but my input seemed to be, at least I think ATVO may be the thing that's lagging, so I don't want to mess around with it too much. But
one thing that's so easy to do here is hit the wall, and you've already seen drivers with right front damage, at least a couple drivers with right front damage from doing that. Zach Buchanan, most notable and sick. You can see that right front of that. Oh, he's in the grass. I want to exit down there, but not specifically in the grass. That's a bit too low, Zach, but he's got significant right front damage. It's really going to hurt his long run speed, and he looks like really be struggling with the 30 of Miller all over him. And also, like I said, Eddie Trejo has some damage on that right front fender as well. Yeah,
I was going to say, I can't imagine that's a fun thing to deal with, looking at the 40, the 30, and the 80 all duking out for 6th place here. I'm curious how he got that fender damage. I guess hitting the wall off the corner is my best bet.
It's pretty easy to do that. You're really trying to push the exits of these corners, and it's so easy to do. I've done it before, and Miller's going to get into him. This is not going to end well, how close these drivers are racing, but it's almost deflating once you get even the tiniest bit of right front fender damage. There's a lot of times that I get some right front damage. I'm like, all right, race over, let's just salvage, because it's so vital to the handling of your race car, and even at bigger tracks like Auto Club, for example, it really dampens your speed. So getting any damage like that on that tire that's so important at a track like this, usually it kind of just throws your mojo off. You just have to stay in a good rhythm and do the best you can.
He's looking at Jeremy Miller chasing down Zach Buchanan. Not that view. Trying to hit to, where is it? There we go. There's a gearbox up. As I was going to the gearbox, there you see the 88 Hutton immediately dive to the inside and make a fantastic pass on Jeremy Miller. I was trying to get a view because I figured that Hutton was dying to make a move. I'm a bit surprised that he lost the back of the 40. It seems like he's catching back up to Zach, but Zach, I guess, found a groove and is back off and away. So Miller now back into 8th place. Ryan Carwell sitting in 9th. Very quiet race for the 71.
And 88 of Hutton, another driver already with right front damage. He just hit the wall again out of turn number 2. That's the big trouble spot, the exit at 2. It just kind of jumps out of nowhere at times on you, and it can really bite you.
Yeah, in fact, taking a look at these guys coming off of turn number 2. You just saw Jeff Wright lose internet connection there for a second. Oh, you see Ray Massey getting awfully close to the wall. Everyone else keeping somewhat of a safe distance away. Also curious in seeing when the leaders are catching up to the back end of the field. There's Jeff Wright, and there's Eddie Trejo, not too far off in the distance, actually battling with Ben Lafter for 14th.
It might be a mediums battle for 14th now, but it's going to be the battle for the lucky dog not too far from now. Is Ben Lafter. He gained some spots early, but he's really starting to drop back now. He's only got another 3 or so seconds to Jeff Wright before he's a lap down.
Bailey Turner, a little bit loose and off and entering the corner. A lot of guys kind of settling it out, except for this. Eric Hutton dived to the inside to Zach Buchanan, almost dooring him off into turn number 3. And now Jeremy Miller finally have a better opportunity to sneak on by the 40, at least attempt to.
Yeah, Buchanan's really sliding the right rear. Hutton into the wall a little bit again. Right front damage ain't going to get much better, but Buchanan's really sliding the rears into turn 1, and Hutton had nothing to do about it, just had to get under him there.
I think I saw Telganov hit, or saw some car hit the wall hard off of turn 2. Almost knocked the camera out.
We need those cameras. Don't see
I worked very hard on them.
They did. I don't know how old they are, because I got the ones from the very first race here, but they still do the job.
If you do have the old camera, you should download my camera pack in our Discord.
Links in the
description.
Pack. It is a very handy candy pack. I don't know. It's not Halloween. Camera pack, but it is a very good camera pack. Very professional. It's perfect, pretty much. Every single camera's on point, and they're all usable too.
Yeah, and looking at this battle between Ryan Carwile and Buchanan. Buchanan finally getting muscled out. I'm curious to see if this is him, if he is really struggling with the right front, or this is him kind of pushing too hard, or maybe a slight combination of both, I'm willing to think.
Hutton just pushed turn 1 hard. He slid the rear. It's just so easy. I was talking about it. That downhill section just really bites you. It's so difficult to not slide the right rear unless the setup is an absolute brick. If it's not an absolute brick, you're going to be sliding the right rear like Jeremy Miller is in the turn number 1 as well. It's so easy to do once you enter on the flat. That's why I like Telganoff's line. You enter high, you get as much banking as possible, so you're really not sliding that rear tire as much.
Yeah, they're seeing the 30 sliding off into turn number 1, as Connor mentioned. Working lap 40 of 180, still green. I was taking a look there. Jeff Wright and Bailey Turner, the gap 2.5 seconds. This is pretty incredible. I'm trying to remember who won the last time we were here at North Wilkesboro. I almost want to say, never mind. I was going to say, I thought it was 48. Where did Jeff Wright finish? Because for some reason, I feel like I remember him doing well.
I believe 4th place. He finished 4th place the last race, and the second to last race, which was the first race here, he finished 2nd after leading 97 laps.
Okay, there we go. Okay, so I definitely do remember correctly that the 48 did pretty well here. Hasn't got the win, but you know, if things continue as they are, looking pretty good, especially with such a big lead to work with.
Yeah, he's usually, there has been times when he wears his stuff out a little too early. Even if he has, I'm not sure how much of that lead he's going to lose, because it already looked like Bailey Turner was pushing so hard. Oh, right. Yeah, he is driving hard. He got really sideways in the turn 1 there. Everyone's struggling there, even the leader. But he's gained 0.2 per lap the last 2 laps. It's almost a 3-second lead. Even if he's pushing his stuff hard, I don't really see him really losing all of that.
Yeah, I don't either. Looking at Eric Hutton and Chad Klinger starting to fight. Klinger not fast at all through 3 and 4. Now trying to make a move to the inside. Looks like Klinger is not really going to fight a whole lot for it. Took a very wide line in the corner and just not exactly going to clear, but I can't imagine Klinger going to put too much of a fight. Think he knows the battle is lost. Will pull in behind. Welker and Buchanan just saw an exchange for a position. Not sure that was planned or not.
Looked like Buchanan almost wrecked again. He got really sideways in turn 1 and almost hit the wall out of turn 2. He is really probably the one who's really on the struggle bus right now.
Whoa, yeah, you weren't kidding. Wow, that was very loose. So there you go. There's the exchange between the team. He's not planned exactly, but Mitch Welker up into 9th. And we were talking about him at the beginning of the race, about him saving his stuff. I guess it's probably working out for him. He looks pretty well under control in that 76. A lot of other guys sliding around. He seems to be managing stuff pretty well.
One person who's managed his stuff well is Eric Hutton. The last few laps I've watched him, he's ran laps faster than the leader and Jeff Wright. He is 6 seconds behind, but these laps rival the 48. If you do get a yellow at some point and you're not involved in it, he could be the challenger for this 48.
You're taking a look at his last lap time, 19.975 to Jeff Wright's 20.059. It's one of the faster deltas between all these drivers. Actually, the only driver to be in the 19s, except for Ryan Carwell, and behind him is a little bit slower. So Hutton putting some good pace. Again, as you mentioned, he's got quite a bit of time to work back up, but hey, the race is still young. And still got about 40-some minutes of racing left, so it's still a lot of action to go. Does that seem right? 40 minutes?
Yeah, the previous races here, 170 laps, a little longer with 180 this time, but the races in previous times have really only lasted around an hour. So This is a race that really flies by when it doesn't really, you don't really expect it to. Buchanan, I think he's all the way back to 11th now. That right rear, I don't know how long it's going to make it at this rate.
I was going to say, he seems to be abusing it, and this is off into turn number 3. Very similar story, went flying in there hot, and then struggling to get back on the power. They see the Cottas come up from behind, and Buchanan just let him on by. Just doesn't want to accidentally take out a competitor. Oh, and back into turn 1 again. That tire is going down. I'm no crew chief, but I'm pretty sure that tire is going down.
I wonder if he put the bias too low. Maybe he was struggling. Maybe he wasn't turning entry and he tried bringing the bias down, and now it's just absolutely undrivable for him or something like that. You got to figure sooner or later he might just have to back up his entries, or he's going to end up wrecking. He's already tried to wreck multiple times. It's not going to end well.
It seems like this rear suspension is just broken. The way the car is just kind of unsettled off the court. He's like shaking the car around, just trying to struggle for grip. Looking at Jeff Wright putting Reggie Ortega a lap down. Only 11 cars left in the lead lap. Eric Hutton and Andrew Telganoff fighting for a position here.
Yeah, and Helgenhoff really just let Hutton by. That 88 is fast. Put him up to the 4th position now. As see Chad Klinger, Ryan Carwile. Carwile's been catching him a little bit. Carwile's going to use maybe Ben Laughter a little bit to try to get a little bit closer. Really going to hurt these two drivers on exit though, as those two battle a little bit more.
Not too many battles up the field. Zach Buchanan finally coming down to pit lane. Really would love to hear, and it is unfortunate that you're not a pit reporter, because we could. Oh no, and he's gone. And this is another thing we actually had to talk about. They put it in the driver's briefing that they're not exactly enforcing the three in, 3 out for the pit stalls down in pit lane, which is the normal rule, because as you can see visually, there's no stalls and they're very tight together. So you can see Buchanan struggling to get into the box. I imagine he's not going to be the only driver we're going to see struggle to get into his box as he services his number 40 machine.
Yeah, we'll have to wait and see, but I think he was just pitting to get new tires on it. I don't think that's their strategy. He also might have gotten a penalty. That, or he's calling it quits because he hasn't pulled out of his stall. He is out of the car, so I think he is just going to call it a day because he was really struggling badly. But we won't see pit stops for another long while. They are on 70% fuel, but even still, that fuel can make it another however many laps. And you split it halfway at lap 90 with the halfway points you would get. You'd probably pit there if you're smart. Can't make it 180, but splitting this in half is pretty much the move I would expect.
I was going to say, the thing is, can you make it to 188? Not just on the fuel, but the tires. I mean, we saw Zach Buchanan probably one of the extreme scenarios of struggling for grip. But yeah, I think that's going to be the big deciding factor.
Something happened. There was a stack up out of turn 4. I don't know
Reggie Ortega, I see, has quite a bit of rear end damage to his car. Brian Chambliss, the car in behind. We'll see what happened here. And did he just get loose?
Oh, yeah, he did.
Whoa, back and coming around hard into the right wall. Ooh, Eddie Trejo almost clipping him. Looks like, as you mentioned, only car involved. And Ortega, as you all but just about to mention, coming down to pit lane.
We'll see if this is to call it quits as well. He's another one who's been struggling, was already a lap down, almost got into Bailey Turner there. He's going to put right sides on it. Not sure if he's going to get back on track. He might be able to make it from here with how much fuel these guys have, but you really don't want to have to go this long on fuel when you were already struggling as bad as you might have been. Looked like right sides. Did he put left sides on it? No, he did put left sides on it. So he is actually going to go back out there, but I think he'll be 3 or 4 laps down now.
And trying to look for some other close battles on the track. Eric Hutton continuing his march up the field. We were talking about his pace earlier on, and he's done pretty well working up through the order. We saw Andrew Telegoff didn't put up much of a fight. Same story with the 23, saying, here you go, you can take it away.
Yeah, this is pretty impressive, to be honest. Jeremy Miller has come down to pit road, so I'm kind of surprised these guys are pitting this early.
I think some of these guys are just struggling with the tires. I think they kind of have to come down pit lane.
It's very surprising, though, because I believe the obvious move would be to get the halfway and then pit, because we're not even really seeing much tire fall off. The fastest time for Miller, for example, on 19.1, and his last times were 20.3s. It's fall off, but it's only 1 second. It's not enough of a fall off to even warrant that extra stop, in my opinion. So I'm very surprised by, not too surprised by Ortega because of the hit he took, but Miller is a clean car. I'm not really sure about that.
I'm guessing he's just figuring the car is just not drivable enough. I think he's starting to feel you're getting that range where it kind of feels like it's going down. So I think before he starts to really lose pace, once you get to right before the tire actually goes, you lose a lot of time. And I feel like with the way some of these guys have been driving, I think some of them are getting a lot closer to that limit than others. I feel like guys like Jeff Wright, like Mitch Welker, like Eric Hutton, I think they'll probably be the ones to take the halfway. I think a lot of other drivers, guys like maybe Bailey Turner, though he doesn't look too terrible at this stage of the race, but some other guys we've seen kind of abusing their stuff a lot more, I think they're going to be coming in early just because they can't really carry the tire all the way to lap 90.
I'm surprised Casey Lakatos in that sense hasn't picked, because he's been sliding to right rear just as badly, if not worse, than Buchanan was before he parked it. He's really been struggling in the turn 1. It's definitely the trouble spot with the downhill section entering turn number 1. It's just so easy to slide, and we've seen so many drivers already struggle with that. We've seen Jeff Wright struggle with that, even though he's leading. It's just probably the spot. If anything was going to happen, it might be right there.
Looking at Casey Lakatos, of course, when we put the camera on him, looks like he's driving fairly normally. Taking a look at Jeff Wright there, exiting off of turn number 2.
Telganoff almost spun it out of turn number 4. That was a heck of a save. He'll lose that spot to Carwell, but at least he gets to keep a race car.
And taking a look at what happened in this off of turn 2, entering turn 3. Got Ryan Carmel in behind. Working through the corner here. Getting back on the power. This is the tricky bit right there. Pretty good save, made it look easy.
And once again, one driver slides a bit too much, just immediately hits pit lane. So I think these drivers know once they start sliding, they do not want to be on that tire anymore.
Yeah, so Telganov down into the pits. Will serve as his number 3 machine, who was running pretty well up until that point. It looks like he's going to be in his stall and ready to go away. Waiting to see who else is coming down. It's been a slow trickle down onto pit lane. No clear-cut starter for the pit stops. Ben Laughter coming in. And this kind of, as you mentioned, again, everyone trying to carry it to halfway, collect those points for only the top 7. So going to want to be in a points position to benefit from that. So 20 laps away, which seems like not a lot of time, but with the way these guys are driving, some of them, it seems like it may be too much time. Mitchell Welker, Chad Klinger battling for position. Welker on the attack, Klinger defending on the outside lane. And number 76 going to move it up one more spot into 6th place.
That's another thing that surprises me about some people pitting early is because if you can tough it out to those stage points, I would do it. Pretty valuable points if you're in the points races. Ryan Chambliss really slow in front of Ben Laughter. But, you know, stage points get pretty important. If you stick it out till then, you could probably get those. I suppose the strategy for Telganov is, you know, I'm the points leader. Screw the stage points. I'm going to try to get a gap on Jeff and maybe carry it on to the victory. Maybe that's the strategy. I wouldn't be sure about it otherwise.
Taking a look at Eric Hutton, last lap for him, 20.194. Bailey Turner, last lap, 20.239. Hutton in behind and closing. So this is going to be a battle for 2nd place. Hutton closing in. I'm still trying to look, let's see, at the leader. And Hutton is closing in on Jeff Wright, slowly gnawing into that lead.
Whoa, he got sideways there, though. He just... I don't know if he lost a little bit of time, just got sideways on his own, or Ben Laughter kind of caught him by surprise on fresh tires, but he'll lose a little bit of that time back. Yeah,
definitely. So he's going to have to regain his composure. There is Reggie Ortega, another driver, come down to the pits. I think we'll probably let the 2 go by as well. There he goes.
Now we're starting to see Hutton start the slide. We haven't really seen this. This is the longest someone's gone without sliding. Lap 75, first weakness I've seen from the 88, just really sliding to rears now.
Working off of turn number 2 and into turn number 3. Both of these guys. About 4 seconds back from the leader. Again, Jeff Wright off a quiet day in the office for him. Hasn't had a whole lot of competition to work with.
His only competition is his internet currently.
Yeah, I was going to say he's been flashing it out consistently. Oh, God. Speaking of flashes, I think I might have just seen lightning out my window.
Well, that's not good. We do not have a 30-minute stoppage of racing in this though for that. So
that's unfortunate.
It is unfortunate.
Yeah. Speaking of that too, didn't get a chance to mention this earlier. David Mott messaged me of why he wasn't able to race. He lost power to his house, or at least his computer. Not sure if it was to the room or what the situation is. He's watching the race currently on his phone.
I did just see him join the session, so maybe he'll put some laps down, but obviously out of contention. He could pass Zach Buchanan, but that's about it for now.
I was going to say he's going to need a red flag, about a 30-minute red flag to make up all the laps.
We've seen that before. Let's not forget fuel at Indianapolis. You never know what might happen.
Yeah, you never know. You never quite know. Eric Hutton closed back in. Bailey Turner very quickly, I might add. Saw him lose a little bit of time. He's gained essentially all of that back. And now pursuing this fight for 2nd place.
He was within 5 seconds of Jeff Wright, though. After his slide, he lost about 3 or 4 tenths from Matt, and he's lost another 3 to 4 tenths from being behind Bailey Turner. That dirty air, if we're talking about that, it does play a factor. Obviously, having to let some lap cars, the 30, the 2, and the 40, not the 48, the 30, the 2, and I believe it was the 64, Ben Laughter, had to let those guys by. And you know, you lose that much time doing it, it can get frustrating. You worked so hard to gain that second or however much it was on the 48, and then you lose it, and you just keep losing it. It's got to be frustrating. Dave Mott Jr. is on track. Sorry to cut you off there, but he is coming out of pit road now. Beautiful livery, I might add. That's very sharp. Gotta be careful on pit exit here. This is one thing we usually don't see come into play. This very tight pit exit. Don't want to come out in front of people. He actually comes out in front of that battle for second, but he should have fresh tires.
It always makes you kind of wonder how they managed to pull that off back in the day without wrecking half the field.
They were very, very brave. That's all I will say on that.
Because the way he pulled out like that, it's like when you're coming off like a highway off ramp and there's not much of like a speed up lane. So you kind of have to. So sometimes you end up having just to wait for an opening shot. It's essentially what David had to do there. But glad to see him out on the track. I mean, personally, with me, I wouldn't even bother. It's actually not graphics not working for him. My lower thirds are not working for him. He's on the timing and scoring. There you can see him in 16th, whopping 81 laps down to the leader.
Trying to look at a battle. Not a bad for position. Was trying to look at Ortega and Miller side by side, letting some drivers by. Tailgun off by Ray Massey. Again, tailgun off another driver who pit early. We're on lap 84 now. Actually, the 48 might be on lap 85. He's so far ahead. Yeah, 6-second lead. Lap 85. Coming to 5 laps before you get those points, then I think you'll see just an absolute rush into the pit lane.
Yeah, I think, again, we're really waiting on the top 7. They're, again, the only ones that are really going to benefit from staying out this long. I mean, the guys for the field, more or less, I think they're just trying to extend their tire life so they can get on fresh ones and sort of continue that out as well. Don't want to make more stops than you need to. Looking at Jeremy Miller, 24 laps already since his last pit road, and man, those flashes are getting brighter off in the distance from my window. I'm getting kind of nervous.
As long as the thunder doesn't get louder.
I haven't heard any thunder. I'm not sure it's because of the headphones and because I'm in a basement, but I'm going to assume there's no thunder associated and it's not coming in my general direction.
Well, that's good to hear. Oh, Chad Klinger just got really sideways. Starting to see, this is a risky part about drivers pitting so early. You get sort of an overlap of fresh tires trying to pass old tires. It can get very dicey. Miller by the 48 of Jeff Wright. That's sort of a trouble spot if your guys like Wright, Hutton, Bailey Turner. That's kind of your fear, getting ran over by these new tires.
Yeah, Hutton up into second place. Bailey Turner in third, trying to at least keep up pace with him. Curious to see what happens when the pit stops come around, where you're going to get these guys on fresh tires until the order is going to mix up again. Guys who definitely saved a lot more for long run pace, like Eric Hutton. One of the fastest guys out here on the track, was 3/10 quicker than Jeff Wright last time by. And as we talk about that, probes coming to the start of lap 90 right now. You got to complete lap 92. You don't want to come in too early.
Don't pull a Mark Martin, although he's so far ahead he might keep the lead.
Yeah, honestly. Working back straight away through 3 and 4. And Jeff Wright, as he comes out of the corner. Ooh, Jack Clear coming in a little bit early. Interesting that. Jeff Wright going to collect 7 points to his name. Eric Hutton going to be finishing halfway in second. Bailey Turner in third. Ray Massey in fourth and behind. Ryan Carbell fifth. Mitch Welker in sixth. And Casey Lacatas, due to the surprise pit of the 09 of Chad Klinger, Casey Lacatas will pick up that last bonus point at halfway.
And Jeff Wright, pretty much as I expected, he'll pit exactly at halfway. Bailey Turner follows him down. Eric Hutton does not, which is surprising to me, but first place, third place pit. Here come the rest. Brian Chandler said he Trejo in, and everyone else won't be too far behind. Lacatas in as well.
Yeah, I guess out of anyone, I would say Eric Hutton's probably the best person to just kind of see continue out, maybe another few laps or so. Looks like he's going to continue out there. I guess he feels good on the tires. I guess he's going to play his luck, maybe hope a caution comes out or something happens. That'll benefit him. And there is the former race leader, Jeff Wright in the 48, coming ahead of the 88.
Ray Massey came down last time by as well.
Yeah, there he is getting service to his machine. Case Lacatas, you can see rolling off a pit lane now. Eric Hutton. Yep, Hutton coming in to service his machine. Ryan Carwell still out on the track in the 71 car. Been out there now since the drop of the green flag for 94 laps. Mitch Welker also joining him on Hypermalius. I think a lot of these guys might be staying out here just to maybe lead a lap because, again, they're not exactly starving on gas. So I think trying to get some laps led where they can, especially when they're going to finish somewhat down the order. I think Welker knows he's not going to really be getting any higher unless a caution comes out. There's Bailey Turner working his way around. Jeff Wright trying to see where he is in traffic, just fighting with Casey Lacatas, who's a lap down him.
Yeah, and he'll likely get by Lacatas. Hutton's out of pit road right in front of Ray Massey. I believe he did lose that spot to Bailey Turner because of how a few laps earlier Turner pit. And right now, for Jeff Wright, it's a pretty sizable lead to Bailey Turner right now. It's almost half a track.
And here's Andrew Telkinoff ahead of him, who came in earlier, and then Miller, who came in even earlier, who will cycle out to be the race leader once Carwell and Welker, as I mentioned, both of them coming into the pits. So at the moment, Miller, as he comes out of turn 4, will pass Welker and Carwell and take back the lead of this race. We'll see what he can do with it.
Rich Welker just came in, so there's one to pit road. Carwell came in as well, so Miller should rotate to the race lead. And now his plan just pretty much lays down on trying to catch the caution at the perfect time.
Yeah.
You know, sort of Jeff Wright, maybe get as close to him as he can, and then when that yellow comes out, you know, Wright's tires will be so worn that he has no choice but to pit, you know, really work in Miller's favor to get that track position.
You can see there Telkinoff with not only Jeff Wright, but Casey Licata is just blowing past him with the difference in tire life. And the difference is only about 30 laps, not even actually 30 laps. So you can see right there how much the difference the newer tires make. So these guys are going to be using that as a precious resource. I mean, they're not really due to come back in again, really, at this point. They can go to the end from here on fuel. That's not the issue. I'm curious to see. I imagine we're probably going to see Jeremy Miller and Telkinoff come down to pit lane. I can't imagine them stretching tires more than 100 laps.
They kind of have to, though. You pretty much shot yourself in the foot if you don't stretch it. So you're going to have to live the consequences of your strategy at this point. You pit, you lose too much time doing that. So I think we're going to see them try to really stretch the lives on their right rears.
Mitch Welker working his way up through. Next car he's battling with is Chad Klinger in the 09. And we saw them battle it out on track earlier. Klinger got out because Welker stayed out a few extra laps.
This is a hornet's nest out of turn number 4. This is almost half the field just trying to sort themselves out. Mitch Welker passing the leader Miller. Eddie Trejo next in line. And oh, look at that. There's Jeff Wright already in line to take the lead. Miller really chopped the nose of the 21 there, though.
And you can see there is Jeff Wright already closed that gap back up. Nothing Miller can do except kind of admit his fate, as he can just kind of hold the inside line and make Jeff Wright work the long way around, but fighting the inevitable here.
I would say so, but I'm surprised Jeff didn't really push it, although he doesn't really need to push it much harder.
Yeah.
It's about trying to see the gap. It's about 7.5 seconds to Bailey Turner.
Wow.
And Eric Hutton on pressure tires, it's 9.5 seconds. Don't know how much Hutton's going to really be able to do. Wright kind of boxed in now. He's going to look to the inside. Miller not the best run off of 2, and Wright will likely have the clear path to the inside for the race lead. 3 wide at North Wilkesboro is not what you want to do, though, but he's going to make it work.
Yeah, Casey Licata is also going to try to snake his way on through, pick up some track position, not really position, not fighting with Laughter or Miller directly. Mitch Welker, Chad Klinger, already a Duke and die for a position. So Welker up into 8th now. There's next trying to get to Ryan Carwell up the road.
He's just barely on the lead lap now. He does have fresher tires, but right now the tire difference isn't enough to really gain a lot of that time back. So he's really just going to be being chased by the 48 for the rest of this race, if I had to guess.
Just see how many cars they have in the lead lap. 9 at the moment. Chad Klinger, the last of the drivers on the lead lap, and you can see in the distance there's a dark blue car approaching him in his mirror. I think what was the fewest amount of cars we had on the lead lap? I think was 2 or either 1 or 2 actually.
In ORL?
Not in ORL. It was in 3 wide when Matt Gruenberg dominated the field. I think at Rockingham. I remember there was one distinct race where there was at least 2 cars on the lead lap. I don't quite remember off the top of my head if there was one where there was only 1 car. I do want to say we got close to that.
I know at Rockingham there was a 3-wide race where it was because someone stayed out so long on tires, although it didn't end up working. I do remember that. It was one of the last races broadcast on SimTV of 3-wide. But I do remember, although it wasn't broadcasted on ORL, it was Bristol, as I noted earlier. It was the last short track race. I mean, Rockingham was after it, but not a lot of people count Rockingham straight up. But Bristol, no doubt, a short track. Last race, they went there last season. It was Jeremy Miller, because everyone pretty much wrecked him. Miller was able to survive, which is sort of backwards for Miller's standards, but he was able to survive and He was just putting laps on the field. I think he won by 2 laps, which was pretty stunning. I don't think
Yep.
it's ever been done in ORL.
And guess who finished in second?
I think it was you.
It was me. In my defense, my car, I had right side damage to my car. I forgot how I got it. I don't think it was hitting the wall. I hit someone, or someone hit me. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. Barely
Sure you didn't hit someone?
I don't know. It was a while back. I hit something. I definitely hit something. So my car was wounded. Yeah, two laps of it's something you can't imagine. Back in the day, that used to be.
Spin! Oh, Reggie Ortega. I don't know if he was trying to get the pit road, but he spun out of turn 4, and I think he's just gonna park it after that. I thought that was gonna be a yellow for sure.
Let's see what happened to the number 2 car coming off of turn 2, now into turn 3.
I think he did call it.
Oh, yeah.
Today he has disconnected. Once again, he's one of the only drivers who's been driving that high line. Great pit entrance, by the way, but he's the only driver I've seen driving that high in 3 and 4, and it just has not been working.
Yeah, view from Ryan Carwell.
Oh boy, that's not what you want to see. That after it just pit as well. That would have been big catastrophe if the 64 got caught like that.
So Carwell gonna continue on in 7th after that interesting view. Probably kept him on the edge of his seat.
I'll say.
And Eric Hutton lost position. Actually, him trying to gain position, and Shelgunov sliding up the track as he is struggling for grip. Right, Massey also probably going to continue the same, and Andy not even really going to fight it.
Andy he got in the wall. So hard to do. That straightaway, the front straight sort of curves a little bit on entry a little earlier, and I think he got caught out by that. Hit the wall before turn 1. And now he's going to give up the spot to the 23.
Yeah, telling off one of those drivers you're kind of expecting to make a return trip back down the pit lane. He's done 48 laps on his tires. And so he is going to definitely be struggling with them when he started to get to the later part of the race. I kind of expect him to come in the next 20 laps or so, but we'll see if he's going to try to stick out there. Again, as you mentioned earlier tonight, a lot of these guys like Telgunov and Miller pitting early, kind of shot themselves in the foot. Now, it's got the kind of way, is it worth coming in, saving the tires rather than risk a blowout? So, some stuff they gotta weigh in. There, you just exchange for position. Bailey Turner getting around Jeremy Miller. He's just kind of trying to hold on in that number 30 machine.
Trying to look at where Miller was when he pit. He pit around lap 60, almost 60 on the dot, and I think he was top 10. He wasn't 8th place, but he definitely wasn't even close to the top 3, so he's got another 60 laps to go. If he was to pit another time, it would be happening right around now, but if he does stretch this another 60 laps, there's a very good chance he could finish farther up the order than 8th place. Actually, Telgunov just hit, actually.
Yeah, see, I'm not too surprised by that.
Kind of surprising though. The fuel can last the halfway. It just doesn't seem like the viable option. But
yeah, but it depends on how hard these guys are pushing the tires. I think Andrew and Jeremy have been pushing the tires a little bit too hard, so it's been giving them some pretty solid pace, but at the cost of just them not being able to carry it a lot longer compared to guys like Jeff Wright and Eric Hutton, and even Bailey Turner could throw in as well. And as you just mentioned, Miller coming in as well.
I understand.
I would have doubted that they've been able to carry the tires. Even guys like Jeff Wright and Hutton, who have been doing really well with managing tires, I don't think they would have been able to carry them 120 laps.
Even 90 stretching it though for how much they were sliding. It just, I know, you abuse the tires so much, you feel like you have no choice but the pit. But if they knew the fuel could go to lap 90 and get the halfway for halfway points, very tough pit exit for Miller, but he's able to make it work. And you kind of just have to be aware of what you need to do. The fall off is only a second, and maybe you don't because he didn't do the long run practice, but you kind of need to be wary of what the strategy is. It's just at a track like this, an extra stop is never really viable, not only because of the not much fall off, but a short track you're almost expecting yellows. Hasn't happened today, but it's still a risk you take an extra stop. I just don't really get the strategy.
Taking a look at Ray Massey, started in 4th, running in 4th. Hasn't had a whole lot happen to him in the 23 car. It's been a fairly quiet day. Hasn't really gained position, lost position, just kind of riding around, and no one really near him. He's 2 seconds back from Eric Hutton and 4 seconds ahead of Ryan Carwell, so a bit in no man's land.
I will say for Miller, he did make his first pit stop from 8th place, and he exited in, I believe, the 8th position as well. A lap down, but still in 8th place, and he actually got out ahead of Telgunov.
In a way, this kind of helps him. Well, I shouldn't say help him, but he is on fresh tires, so I expect to see him gain position. He's got Casey Lakatos as the next car he's chasing down, 10 seconds up the road. So definitely doable. Not the most ideal scenario, but better than nothing. Welker, see, closing in on Ryan Carwile. Is going to be battle for 5th place. Welker, let's see, last lap, not 119, 19.133 compared to Carwile's 19.175. So hundreds of a second difference.
Look at the drivers we still have on track. Mott Jr. put those few laps on the track, and I believe parked it again. Buchanan retired early. Ortega had that slide into pit entry. He's taking it behind the wall. And also, I didn't even note Chad Klinger also retired not too long ago as well. So 4 cars who have left this race early, still 12 on track.
You're taking a look at our race analysis so far. Got just about 52 laps remaining. Yes, that's correct. 52 laps remaining. Oh, that's not the right one I was trying to look at. Here we go. Race recap. That's what I'm trying to look at. 52 laps to go. 0 cautions today. 4 different leaders, 4 lead changes. A lot of that happened on pit lane. Jeff Wright's been the man out there dominating nearly the entirety of this race. In fact, let's take a look. Has definitely, I imagine, cleared. Taken.
Led.
Yes, most laps led. And he has indeed with 117 laps led out of 130. So led all but 13 or so laps this race. Dominating performance with 48.
Yeah, I don't even think the lead changed until lap 91 when he pit. So that's just how dominant he's been. And then he had to pass Miller back, did that pretty much no problem. It's been a smooth sailing day for the 48, no doubt about it. Bailey Turner has not really made any inroads on him. Little not faster last time by, just another 10th slower than the 48 Bailey Turner was. Pretty smooth sailing right now.
And Mitch Welker, we saw he was catching up to Ryan Carwile, has lost a little bit of that time, so going to need a few laps to try to catch back up. Trying to look here and see, let's see, take a look at where Jeremy Miller is on his progress. He's caught up 6 seconds now to Casey Lakatos, down from 10. So he's catching up at a pretty quick rate. Again, by the time he catches Casey, I don't think Casey's going to have much left for him. So
I wouldn't think so, no.
Lakatos starting off in 13th, up into 7, so +6 for the number 50 car. He's not one of the biggest movers of the race. Close to that. The biggest mover would be the 88 of Eric Hutton, who started back in 10th, up into 3rd.
You think what this race could have been if he had qualified a little bit better. Qualifying hasn't been his strong suit in the past, but this is one where it really killed him. He showed really strong pace in practice near the end of that session, and he obviously went 10th to pretty much 2nd place on that long run. So you think what could have been if he just even qualified top 5, let alone top 3.
Yeah, him and also Mitch Welker for that matter. Welker not setting the lap time charts on fire, but he's been running pretty well again, and he was mired all the way back down in traffic starting from dead last after having to give up pole position due to a he was given an EOL. What was it for again, if you could remind me?
I believe it was for going through too many stalls in Watkins Glen, and they weren't able to police that, obviously, because of how Watkins Glen is. So there's not really much he could do about that, but that is kind of just the unfortunate timing to go through too many boxes on a week where it can't be enforced properly. So it puts you first to last.
Yeah, and the problem is that, if a caution came out right now, he's in a pretty good spot, restarting 6th. I think that's around where he would probably be had he started near the front. So I think even Eric Hutton, too, Bailey Turner, all of them are kind of waiting for a caution, but it's just never come. We've got 138 laps clean and green. I say that as you saw a little bit of a bobble from Andrew Telganoff in the background, struggling for grip. Actually, if anything, he should not be struggling for grip, because he's got one of the freshest tires out there on the track. Him and Jeremy Miller with 20 and 17 laps to their tires, respectively.
I think that's Telganoff just trying to push the exits of the corners more just to maybe try to catch up to the 30 of Miller, and it's just not working out.
It's a tough thing to do, try to push it. Again, you struggle with that tire wear. Don't expect him to come back down with 40 laps, just about 40 laps left to go. Eric Hutton closing that gap into Bailey Turner, 119 point. Sorry, I keep saying 119. I'm thinking of road courses. That's why I'm keep putting a 1 in front of it.
Far apart from road courses as you can get, I think.
I think actually I shouldn't even say from the Porsche stream the other day because I wasn't even commentating that. I was just pushing buttons. But 19.165 for Eric Hutton last lap. Bailey Turner actually ran a little bit faster, almost a 19 flat for the 24 car.
I think that was him I think that was the 88 getting a little bit behind Trejo. And he's going to lose a little bit of time here because he's going to have to let Telganoff by on fresher tires. So he's going to have to regroup after that battle with those lap drivers is over and then try to set his sights on the 24 again. Fresher tires, just has to use them properly. Battle for 7th is about to become something. Probably not for too long, but it will become something as Miller almost hit the wall there. He has closed in that gap fully on Casey Lakatos.
Yeah, it's really just a matter of seeing how much Jeremy Miller is going to benefit from these fresher tires. Again, we were talking about him should have been around 8th place. And so didn't really lose, didn't exactly gain. He will look like he may gain here. You're going to make a dive to the inside of Brian Chambliss, who's currently running in 10th, 2 laps down. Miller catching back up to Lakatos. I don't think Jeremy is going to be able to unlap himself as he heads out into turn 1. Wright's coming off of turn 2.
Yeah, I don't think that's really going to be... I don't think it's going to happen. I don't know if the tires are going to last that long enough to the point where he's still faster than a 48, especially with coming to about 30 laps to go. Don't know if he's going to have enough time to get there, but if he does, it's a pretty good recovery. And then if he could pass him and then maybe get a yellow, it opens up the game for him a little bit.
Indeed it does. Jeremy Miller working through Casey Lakatos up into 7th place. Taking a look back at the next battle, actually just in behind these two. Eric Hutton still chasing down Bailey Turner, is now eaten to under a second in behind the 24 car.
What's surprising me is Telkanoff. He hasn't really flown by Hutton like I feel like he should have. I don't know. He maybe slid the tires more times than we saw him slide them, but he just doesn't have the pace that I think he really should on the tires he has right now. Almost hitting the wall. Probably pushing a little bit too hard.
I think he did actually hit the wall. if not, as you mentioned, just got really close to it. Telganoff started 5th, back down into 9th. Again, arguably due to not the best, I wouldn't really say best call on tire strategy. Again, I just don't think he was able to carry the tires to lap 90, so decided to make an extra pit stop. But as you can imagine, not exactly working out in his favor. I think was hoping for a caution that just never quite came. So 3 of Telganoff trying to recover back up. He's trying to chase down Casey Lakatos, who's 4 seconds up the road. I don't quite think he may get there because he's already struggling for pace.
Yeah, he was only 8/1000ths of a second faster than Lakatos last time by. Unless Lakatos has a severe drop in grip, a severe slide somewhere, I'm not sure if the 3 is going to be able to make this work like the 30 has.
Nothing really changed up near the front of the order. Jeff Wright commanding lead. So he's been stretching it out more and more, now over 8 seconds back to Bailey Turner. Only 6 cars remain on the lead lap, and that's going to change. Mitchell Welker is the last of those cars, and Jeff Wright pursuing him in behind. Take a look back at Eric Hutton. Slowly catching up to Bailey Turner. He's actually kind of stalled out a little bit. I'm kind of curious as to why.
Telganoff in the wall that time out of 4 as you see him behind him. But a dirty air can play a factor. Talked about it. We'll talk about it again. It can sort of hinder you at times. You kind of have to find a new way to enter the corner at North Wilkesboro. I think the entry is more important to sort out in dirty air than it is any other part of the corner. If you sort out entry, you really open up different lanes, different ways to get runs on the driver in front that has that air advantage, and you would probably start to close in a little bit more. You see Hutton, a little bit lower entry into turn 1, just trying to avoid the wake of the 24. Didn't get that great of a run, but he keeps doing that. You can learn that line a little bit more and start to really use it to his advantage.
Yeah, starting to make a little bit more inroads now, 0.6 of a second in behind. So close now, trending in the positive direction towards turning here in the closing laps. Just about 25, 26 laps left to go in this race.
Still interested in Miller's trek up towards the 48. The time lap before, 0.3 faster. This time by about 0.2 faster, so If he does get there, I think no doubt the 48 gives it to him. No reason to fight him. 9 seconds cleared of a lead. So we'll see if the 30 can do it. He gained a position out of this, so it would work.
Little bit of a shake from Brian Chandler's up the road. He's in front of Bailey Turner. You can see him slot right in front of Hutton. Hutton's going to dive low to get on by, but Chandler's struggling out there for grip. Curling back in 10th. He's got Eddie Trejo closing in on him now after some big mistakes the last few corners.
Hutton into the wall a little bit. He almost hit that opening down the back stretch. Surprised that hasn't came into play a little bit more. He scraped the wall right where that opening starts, and that could have been very, literally deadly to hit it there. I've seen that happen before as he's sideways, really driving hard. Now Telganov's really going to pass him here and really hold up his progress towards the 24. Exactly what Bailey Turner wants, though, even though he hit the curb right there.
Yeah, you heard right there that run off at turn 3, turn 2, the delay in getting back to the power, as you mentioned, was loose off the corner. So, not exactly what he needs. So these guys get very close to the wall off turn 2.
Telganov passes the 88 and then really slides badly. I don't think Hutton's going to be very happy about it, but I think he's going to let him by again. Yeah, he's going to let him by again, into a wall again, letting him by. Can't imagine Hutton's too happy about that. Passed him for 2 laps. Kind of lost him around half a second. Now Hutton's got to make that time up in only 20 laps now.
Yeah, I'm sure he's not going to be, as you mentioned, not going to be too thrilled. But Hutton got to get his head down, try to chase down the 24 car. Both those guys teammates for sad part-time boys.
Great team, it really is.
I'm sure both of them are going to be happy with the performance today, second and third. Obviously not the win. At least for now. I say that for now. We still got 20 laps left. Never know what's going to happen.
48's still blinking, so you really never know.
Yeah, that too. Can't say I haven't seen the lightning come. And if you do don't hear from me again in the next 2 minutes, you'll hear God essentially take control and blow my power out.
Yeah, there's nothing I can do about that, so don't come crying to me either. Trying to look at other battles happening. There is a battle for 4th. Carwell, fresher tires, and Ray Massey. He's taken a while, but he has finally closed the gap on the 23, so this should be a pretty good battle to the end. Next time by should, I believe, be 18 laps to go for these guys, as the 71's still trying to find a different line to catch up to that 23 a little bit.
Yeah, it was driving to the inside of Eddie Trejo, finally gets on by. Didn't quite notice Carwell catching up, but has made, as you mentioned, made some good inroads in the past few laps, and now up to the back of Ray Massey, who's struggling a little bit off the exit in some of these corners.
88 of Hutton has closed back in on Bailey Turner as well, so that will still be a battle for 2nd. Have the battle for 4th as well. Maybe a 3-car battle. I don't think Mitch Welker's close enough to get there in time, but he has been trying his hardest to get there.
Yeah, we'll see if there's some contact or some shenanigans. Could see them get in.
That is true. North Wilkesboro, I'm surprised there hasn't been a little bit more bumping, but we just haven't really seen these drivers really close enough. We saw this get a decent amount spread out immediately, which can happen here if you have a bunch of drivers who are just, kind of just setting their own pace. But a little bit surprising at North Wilkesboro for sure. Really not many dinged up front ends. It's more so dinged up right front fenders.
Yeah, I was going to say the wall has been the enemy for most of these drivers rather than the other drivers on the track. Yeah, the closing laps here, 15 laps to go. We could see some enemies being made as a battle closing in for 4th place and for 2nd place. Try to keep eyes on both of them. This is the closer of the two, with Carwell just within range of giving a bit of a bump to the 23. We'll see how desperate he is for it in these last few laps.
Could be points. Trying to look at the points because I don't think we'll get a new points leader. I don't think enough points are at stake for Telganov to lose the point lead for the time being. Came into tonight with a 10-point lead over Jeff Wright, but saying that, Jeff Wright's leading, so it will likely be Jeff Wright taking that points lead, but Welker was 3rd, Carwell was 4th, so Telganov might fall a little bit, but the 48's looking prime for that points lead.
Yeah, I think he definitely will. Remember the bonus points still on from halfway. 7 points that Wright got, I don't think, and Telganov got any. So based off of that alone, plus the points for the race win, I think Wright should be the one that'll take it. You see off the corner, very slow for the 23. Carwell trying to get in behind. And just trying to, as you mentioned, just running different lines, diamonding the corner, high in 1, low off at 2. Seems to be gaining, but it's just not enough to make the pass.
Yeah, at some point you do have to probably break out the bumper. I've had to do it here before, and you can't be afraid to do it at a track like this where it can be so hard to pass. You can get runs on exit, but if you don't move them and don't run a different line, you're not going to make that pass. So sooner or later, you know, they're at 10 laps to go. You got to be ready to use that bumper. I don't know if that top line's going to be enough to get a run low on the 23. Decent run, but not to the bumper where he needs it.
Taking a quick look back at the battle for the 88 and the 24 for second place. Hutton's been closing in, closing back out, closing back in, closing back out. He's been hovering around that 0.4 of a gap, and again, we were talking about the aero wash off with some of these cars. In behind, a little bit harder to follow the dirty air, and in behind, Ryan Carwile to the inside of Ray Massey. Here we go for fourth place.
Oh, Massey sliding. Got to be careful there not to wreck both of these guys. 71's going to send it. He could sort of force the 23 right if he wants to, but I don't think he'll need to. He's just got more pace and more grip than the 23 right now.
And there's your Carwile clear for position. We'll see if the 23 retaliates, if he can really do anything. It's he's in a worse state than the 71. You see Carwile already driving away off the corner. Now we can slowly set our eyes on this battle brewing for second place between Turner and Hutton teammates. Again, with them being teammates, I don't think they're going to go too crazy at it.
They do have a gap if they want to do something stupid, though. 6.5 seconds to Carwile, and there is lap traffic ahead, which will obviously help Hutton a little bit. Get that dirty air on the 24's nose now. That's Casey Lacatus in 8th as well, so should help the 88 close in a little bit. Don't know if it'll be enough. 5 laps to go next time by for these guys. You know, the 48 Jeff Wright, he's taking 5 to go.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see anything too crazy. I can't imagine these guys wanting to risk such a solid finish. Maybe a little bit of a bump, but probably nothing more. But again, that all depends on if the 80 can even get to the back of Turner. Turner's been able to manage that gap pretty well. Hutton's really, again, I'm not sure if it's due to lack of trying.
Whoa, Miller spinning in turn 3 and 4. He's going to get the pit entry. He's going to try to turn it back on track. That could have been a very costly yellow for a lot of guys.
That would have been interesting here, looking off of 3 and 4. Well, this is off of 1 and 2. Now, he's even loose off of 2. You saw him that move down on the inside of the back stretch and there into 3. I guess had a tire going down. Almost looked like a tire going down.
I can't imagine. There's no reason for him to bring out a yellow, obviously, because he wouldn't get the lucky dog. Now he's in the battle for the 7th position. Lacatus is running his bumper now, and this is going to alter the battle for the 2nd position.
Oh, it's going to alter it very well. As now Turner's kind of boxed in behind Miller and Lacatus. Hutton, I guess the moment he's been waiting for. He's only got a few laps to really pounce on this opportunity. We'll see what happens here. Closing few laps here in North Wilkesboro. Turner trying to get around the lap traffic, but Miller trying to again defend for every position he can. Lacatus working to his outside. This is going to get interesting real quick.
And Bailey's not happy, but Casey said himself he's battling for a position, so there's no reason not to go for this. Meanwhile, Jeff Wright already on the final lap.
Yeah, already on the final lap. Keep our eyes on this. Lacatus just ahead of the 30. He's going to clear. Now you see Bailey Turner now stuck in behind. Here comes Hutton trying to work around the outside. And now Hutton stuck in behind the 30. Checkered flag, though, in the front. Jeff Wright's going to win by nearly half a lap to the 24. And you see them finally come out of 3 and 4. Can we see a little bit of a bump and run off the corner? Not quite. You see Hutton drag racing, trying to get out. It's going to slide the tires and slide into the wall, but Turner at Hutton for 2nd and 3rd. Ryan Carwile going to come across the line in 4th. Massey in 5th. Welker, the last of your lead lap finishers, in 6th place.
You cannot dominate much more than that. Jeff Wright with that win, that puts him tied with Adam Cabot for the most all-time ORL wins with 13 apiece. So those two tied. Pretty big win for Jeff Wright. What a way to do it. No one could touch him all race.
Oh, look at these burnouts. You can tell the guys that had a lot of practice at this.
And he probably deserved at least one here in the past, so he finally got one, and you could not really put any question mark on this one. All exclamation points. Oh, no, don't.
Ah, he hit the wall. Womp,
you got to pass tech. All good.
I'm sure that car is definitely going to have to go to tech because he did a fantastic job this entire race. I'm sure everyone's wondering how he managed to do it. Let's go through your race results, though, as we're waiting here for some guys to interview. Jeff Wright, as you mentioned, your race winner. Turner and Hutton, close battle for them, but going to pretty much remain as they were the last 60 or so laps. And we saw Ryan Carwell get around Ray Massey for 4th, and then Massey in 5th, Welker in 6th, Lakatos getting around Jeremy Miller in the final few laps as well. Miller surprisingly was struggling with the tire wear. Kind of surprised he was struggling to that extent. Telganov listed as out, oddly enough, in 9th place, and Brian Chambliss in 10th.
Don't know if he else had forward before that, but good for Chambliss. I don't know how he got to the top 10. He looked like he was struggling all race long, but able to persevere. And the final few runners, Trejo struggled a little bit in 11th. Ben Lafter pit 3 or 4 times in the race, so he went 4 down in 12th. He was the final finisher. Klinger, Ortega, Buchanan did not really finish. Both those guys, a few of those guys were out early, and Mott Jr. obviously had issues with power, so he couldn't really even start this race.
Yeah, let's get started. Let's start with the interviews here. We got Eric Hutton waiting in the wings. And Eric, you got to say, great finish between you and Bailey Turner. Unfortunately, it wasn't going to be a whole battle between you two, but definitely some entertaining stuff seeing not only just chase him down, but just crawl your way through the field. Walk us through how you managed to, I think you're probably actually one of the best guys managing the tire life. How'd you manage to do it?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just saved a little bit there at the beginning. Trying to figure out how to make the passes, and I think I drove the corner a little bit weird. I was leaning more on the right front, I think, than most guys, and it allowed me to stay to the rear so I could get runs to pass guys. But so that second run just kind of overcooked the tires, I think, and couldn't get around Bailey, and thought I was going to have a chance there to lap cars, but I think we just both kind of got screwed in that deal. So overall, pretty good race, a real fun setup, and it was hard to drive, but looked for a couple more spots there.
Yeah, and I mean, we obviously saw that you were again one of the best guys when it came to the long run pace. Do you think if a caution came out, do you think you would have had something for Jeff Wright, or do you think he's just too good on the short run?
Yeah, I mean, I like to think I might have had something there, but it's hard to say. I mean, whenever I was scrolling through the relative and I couldn't even find him in front of me because he's so far out, yeah, I think he had it either way.
Well, Eric, it was definitely a solid drive for you today. Congrats on your 3rd place finish. Good luck to you in the next few weeks.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, moving on next to the teammate to the number 88, Bailey Turner. And Bailey, we saw you trying to hold off your fellow teammate of Eric in behind you. He's pretty much in your mirror for the last, I think, 20, 30 laps. Were you guys actually fighting for a position, or were you kind of just keeping it at almost, I guess, quote-unquote team order as 2nd and 3rd?
No, that first run, he chased me down from so far back. I was actually really impressed. I haven't seen Eric, have that good of a drive in a long time. So I was like, dude, as soon as you get to me, it's yours, kind of thing. And that second run, I short pitted him by a couple laps, and I knew I'd be paying for it, those last 30 laps or so. And luckily, just I started out the race with a lower brake bias, thinking I'm so used to having to save the right front tire, and that killed me in the long run. The first time around, in the second run, I beat my brake bias up. Didn't even fall too far behind Jeff, or not as far behind Jeff there. And I was just mad at myself. I wish I would have done that earlier, because I was having those poop your pants moments every time I drove into the corner, hoping it would stick. And luckily held on for P2 there, and overall good day. I feel like should be me and Eric especially should be running up in this area of the field most weeks. So come in here and get a good finish, especially at a short track, which are always my favorite races to come to. I always seem to have a little bit of speed. Was nice to see.
Yeah, unfortunately, it wasn't the top of the podium, waving first the checkered flag. Looking at the rest of the season, where do you think you may have a chance to get that first win of the season?
That depends. Where are we going next week? I haven't even
Bristol.
Schedule. Bristol. Maybe if I dump Jeff, I can get the win. So no, we'll see. Honestly, I wish we were still going to Martinsville. That's always been my favorite track. But honestly, you circle any short track on the schedule, I feel like I can put up a great fight, or even a mile and a half. Just if we get a setup that I actually just don't have to drive the right front the entire time, that'll be pretty fun. So big congrats to Jeff. Thanks for Peak Performance Motorsports, everybody helping out, and yeah, looking forward to the rest of the season.
All right, Bailey, congrats on your second place finisher. Best of luck to you for the rest of the season.
Thanks.
All right, moving on to our race winner, and Jeff. How did you manage to do it? I think that car needs to be called to tech inspection because you had a lead of 9.6 seconds at the end. Obviously, you had a green run the entire race. I'm sure that played into your advantage, but you seem to be in an entire different league of your own out there today.
Yeah, it was a really fun race. Obviously, yeah, it going long run. That's kind of what I was hoping for. A lot of times when you get cautions here and there at North Wilkesboro, strategy can be a factor, and the field can get jumbled up, and sometimes you can run into some problems, maybe get some damage. But yeah, thankfully tonight it was smooth sailing. We got the lead right away. Didn't qualify on pole, but Mitch had that UL penalty, so that allowed us to get the pole and get the clean air right away. And yeah, after that, it just kind of got zoned in. I wasn't looking at any relative boxes, but I was definitely shocked we went green all the way. My hands definitely are cramping a little bit after that one, but yeah, North Wilkesboro, it's a really fun track, and I mean, shout out to our entire league for making that a full green flag run. That was insane to go 180 laps. I was slipping and sliding everywhere. I was watching the cars in front of me. They were slipping and sliding, so it wasn't easy, but we got a really good group of guys in this league, and that's what makes this league so much fun.
Yeah, and also looking at the points, not officially updated yet, although I want to say with a pretty high degree of certainty, you're probably going to be taking the lead away from Telegonov going to the next week. What's the game plan for you for the rest of the season with now the fact that you will have the points lead?
Yeah, just consistency, and that's something that Andrew, he's really good at. I don't know if he's finished worse than 5th, maybe 4th this year, so he's been super consistent. And so far this season, I've been able to be consistent too. I don't think I finished outside maybe the top 8 is what I've been. So
yeah.
Haven't been as consistent as Andrew, but getting the win, getting a lot of points tonight, obviously, because we led the most laps, got the win. Only point we didn't get, I don't think, is the pole point. That goes to Mitch. He was pretty fast in practice, and obviously was really quick there in qualifying as well, so he'll get that bonus point. But yeah, just the rest of the year, we're going to try to get some halfway points. Obviously, that plays a big factor. Some guys in this league are really good at playing that strategy, getting halfway points, and then obviously getting good finishes is going to help it too. But yeah, I'll tell you what, it's a lot easier to win at North Wilkesboro when Connor Horn is not in the field. I feel like I finished 2nd or 3rd to him however many times, so to get a win here at North Wilkesboro, that's awesome. But I know Connor's with you tonight, so yeah, definitely a lot easier when Connor Horn's in the booth than when he's on the racetrack.
I can imagine. Well, Jeff, great win for you. Really dominating performance. I can't imagine the last we're going to see this season. Best of luck to you.
Thanks, I appreciate it.
All right, well, that's going to be wrapping up interviews for tonight. Connor, completely caution-free. Great job by all the drivers out there. I can't remember the last time I seen a caution-free race at North Wilkesboro. Typically leans into, some cautions, at least 1 or 2 cautions coming out just due to the nature of the track. But to go completely green flag to flag, props to everyone out there.
The lower field definitely helped, but anytime you go green at North Wilkesboro, it's a plus, no doubt about it. And it was a pretty dominant way to get tied for the all-time ORL wins lead for Jeff Wright. No one could really touch him. He got such a good initial start to get the lead, and he never looked back. Really no doubt at all. Almost a double-digit second lead by the time it was all said and done. No one could touch him. Flawless through traffic, flawless with his laps, really didn't make too many mistakes, perfect on pit road. Just a perfect night, no doubt about it. And it is pretty cool to see him win at North Wilkesboro. I did steal one from him. He finished 2nd to me here. He was talking about the 2nd place finishes. He finished 2nd to me here, Jeff. And also, bigger than that, I believe he was almost on a 20 race winless streak. It was 19 starts total.
Oh wow.
Yes, 19 starts total, 29 total races since his last win at the road course in Watkins Glen. He couldn't get it done last week. He's back in the win column in a big way tonight.
Didn't realize it was that long. Felt like he won a lot sooner, but I'm sure he's definitely happy with that. And as I mentioned again, I don't think it's going to be the last of the season. He's been pretty quick in these Xfinity cars, but we'll see who's going to win next week when we head to Bristol for some more short track action. I'm kind of surprised they ended up putting it back to back, but I think it's definitely going to be entertaining regardless. But for now, it's going to be myself, Finn Kuna, with Connor Horn here signing out for tonight. Thank you for watching.